This video explains the process involved when entering accredited grades data into the data entry system. This video in particular focuses on the role of the approver, typically the principal, and will assist him or her in understanding the process. The system of accredited grades depends entirely on the quality of the data gathered by schools and the accuracy with which this data is recorded. You are required to take your time in relation to this process in order that the data collated through this process accurately reflects the data on the forms. Any errors made at this stage will have an impact on the accredited grades that students receive. There are two user roles required to enter, approve, and submit estimated percentage marks. They are the data entry user or users, typically the Leaving Certificate aide, and the approver, typically the principal, to whom this video was catered. Video guides assisting the data entry users for Leaving Certificate and Leaving Certificate applied students are also available. School principals will receive an email with login details for the system for their approver role. The principal will then be able to create accounts for data entry users in their school. More than one data entry user can be set up on the system. If you have any issues accessing the Accredited Grades portal, you should contact the help desk on 057 932 4461. As indicated in the Guide for Schools on Providing Estimated Percentage Marks and State Examinations and Accredited Grades, Arrangements for Leaving Certificate Applied 2021, teachers will have completed Forms A and B and the subject alignment process in advance of the data entry process. Principals will have completed Forms OOS8 and OOS9 for out-of-school subjects and out-of-school learners where appropriate. These documents can be found in the Guide for Schools and Students on implementing the accredited grades process for out-of-school subjects and out-of-school learners. You've been provided with a school matrix from the State Examinations Commission. The matrix is a list of students and their levels registered to sit the Leaving Certificate examination in your school. Before they begin, schools should double-check that all the data on the school matrix is accurate, and if there is a problem with the matrix, to contact the SEC directly at entries@examinations.ie. For more information on the above documentation, please go to Leaving Certificate 2021, Guide for Schools on Providing Estimated Percentage Marks. The role of the approver. The role of the approver is to ensure that they receive the relevant documentation from the data entry user or users. Ensure that each student's percentage mark is correctly entered on the Accredited Grades data collection application as per the Form B. Ensure that a percentage mark has been entered for each student and subject for which there is a Form OOS8. Ensure that a percentage mark of 0 has been entered for each student and subject for which there is a Form OOS9. Approve, reject, or reset the data as appropriate. Submit the data. Data for all students in the school, i.e. for all subjects, levels and classes, must be input and approved before the final data set can be submitted. The deadline for this submission is the 3rd of June 2021. As approver, you should ensure that the data entry user or users provide you with the Forms A, B, OOS8 and OOS9 for checking once data has been entered on the Accredited Grades data entry system. As principal, you can access the application through a link that will be sent to you via email with your login details. When you click on the link in the email, it will take you to this login screen. You then proceed to enter your email address and the temporary password provided in the email. You'll be prompted to change your password and to log in using the new password. If multi-factor authentication has been enabled on your account, you'll receive a 6-digit code to your mobile phone, which you will be prompted to enter on the screen. Approvers can enter the data in either Irish or English. Once you're logged in to the Accredited Grades platform, all of the subjects and levels for your school will be listed on the home screen. As approver, you have the ability to set up multiple data entry users for your school. In order to do this, click on the Users tab at the top of the screen. This will take you to this screen. Using the boxes at the bottom of the page, enter details for the data entry user as follows. Name. This field should contain an identifier for the data entry user and can be the data entry user's actual name. Login ID, email. This should be the data entry user's email address and will be the data entry user's login ID. Role. The only option here is data entry user. Phone. This is required for multi-factor authentication and should be the data entry user's mobile phone number. When entering, make sure to drop the 0 and enter the number in the format +353 87 1234567 If you don't drop the 0 at the beginning of the mobile phone number, the number will not work as part of the multi-factor authentication process. You should seek permission from the data entry user before using their mobile phone number. Email. This should be the data entry user's email address. Entering the email address here triggers the sending of login details to the data entry user. In order to enable multi-factor authentication, you should tick the MFA box and then click Add. It is mandatory that MFA be enabled because it makes the system more secure. Please take particular care when entering the data entry user's phone number and email address. If these are entered incorrectly, the data entry user will not be able to access the system. Once you have set up one data entry user, there'll be an option to set up additional data entry users. On the home screen, as approver, you'll be able to see the percentage progress in the inputting of marks for the various subjects. In order to access a class for approval, you should go to the Student Marks page and select the relevant subject, level, and class ID. Before approving each class, you should print the output by clicking on the PDF button and compare the data on Forms B, Forms OOS8 and Forms OOS9 to the PDF file. Once you are sure that the data are correct, you should click Approve. You should only approve if you are sure that there are no further changes to make. You should repeat this process for each subject and level in turn. If you establish that the percentage marks entered are not correct for a particular class, you can reject the data. The percentage marks for that subject and level will be returned to the data entry user for review and editing as appropriate. If you establish that a student or students have been assigned to an incorrect class, you can reset the data. In order to do this, you must complete the following steps. Firstly, you must reject the data. You then go to the Class Assignments page and navigate to the relevant subject and level using the drop-down options. Select Reset at the bottom of the screen. The data entry user will now be able to reassign class IDs to this subject and level. If you reject or reset the data due to an error on Forms B, OOS8 or OOS9, you should return the amended or new paperwork to the data entry user to allow them to enter the relevant information from a fully correct copy of the form or forms. Once the data entry user has re-entered the data, they will be resubmitted to you for approval. When you have approved the data for a particular class, you should use the PDF option to generate and print a PDF of the data and attach it to the relevant Form B, OOS8 or OOS9. Apart from the ones that you've signed and attached to Forms B, OOS8 or OOS9, any PDF printouts used by you for checking data should be disposed of securely at this point. Once approved, there will be no further chance to make amendments to the percentage marks for that class. Following the approval of all percentage marks for all subjects and levels, you will be presented with a new option to allow you to submit all data. You'll find this at the bottom of the homepage. It's at this stage that you need to ensure that you've printed the full and final data set approved by you before you submit. In order to do this, you should go to the Class Status tab, click on each subject and level, filter by each class, generate and print the PDF file if you haven't done so already, sign and date each PDF file, retain these PDF files along with Forms A, B, OOS8 and OOS9. These records will be needed for the appeals and quality assurance processes. The State Examinations Commission will provide further information to schools and centres in relation to the period for which the records should be retained. Sign-off. When all the data are submitted, complete the sign-off declaration and retain it with all other documentation. The sign-off form can be found in the appendix and final page of the written guide. Quality assurance. Please ensure that you have retained all paperwork in a safe place. A number of checks may be carried out as part of a quality assurance process. A randomly selected number of schools will be contacted to request a copy of all paperwork for a class, subject, or the whole school to check. The Accredited Grades Help Desk is available from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m, Monday to Friday, to assist with any issues or queries you may have in relation to the Accredited Grades data entry system, bearing in mind that due to COVID-19 health and safety restrictions, our offices are not staffed to capacity as we continue to follow public health guidelines by working from home where possible. You can email lcagusersetup@education.gov.ie or call on 057 932 4461 and select option 2. Thank you for watching.